Milena stood out from her peers not only because of her bright appearance, but also because of her bold character. She bullied schoolchildren, insulted teachers, and even organized fights. Impunity so dizzy her head that the girl, forgetting about her safety, decided to bend someone who is able to fight back. Milena was born in 2006 in Murmansk. Although both the girl's father and mother worked, they could not be called caring parents. They both abused alcohol, as a result of which they practically did not engage in the upbringing of their daughter. The girl did poorly in school, favoring various amusements that helped Milena to assert herself among friends. She usually targeted younger students and used bullying, humiliation, and insults. By the age of 12, Milena had gathered a kind of gang around her. A group of 7th and 8th graders roamed the neighborhood, engaged in hooliganism and other bad things. At school number 27, where Milena studied, they knew that this girl was not to be messed with. Her parents were called to the principal many times because of bad behavior, fights, or foul language that she allowed to students and teachers. But parents practically did not react to these calls, saying that this is adolescence and she will soon outgrow it. Unfortunately, it only got worse from there. In October 2018, 10-year-old Lera Gromova had a conflict with Milena, and the 5th grader made an unflattering remark towards the 8th grader. It seemed that the teachers settled the conflict, but the latter was not going to leave this case just like that. There is a deserted place in Murmansk, near the Anchor Lane stop on Kola Avenue, where Milena, with the help of her friends, lured Lera to teach her a lesson. When Lera was brought to the place, Milena and her gang were already waiting for her there. What happened next was described in detail by many local federal media outlets, as one of the teenagers videotaped the horrors and then posted them online. Lera fortunately survived, but she had to spend 2 months in the hospital. Meanwhile, the investigative committee of the Russian Federation in the Murmansk region has taken up the high-profile story. Milena, it seems, realized that this time she could not avoid punishment, and therefore the girl ran away from home. True, she was found pretty quickly. The schoolgirl was hiding at a distant relative. Proceedings on the high-profile case ended 6 months later. In March 2019, the court decided to send the 3 main participants in the crime against Lera Gromova to the Monchegorsk Temporary Isolation Center for Juvenile Offenders. But Milena Feofilaktova was absent at the sentencing because a few days before she left home and did not return. According to most people, the teenage girl, not wanting to go to a detention center, went on the run again. However, the truth was much more terrible, as it became known later. On the evening of March 11, 2019, Milena left her house on the communication passage, going to Akademika Knipovicha Street, where a family friend, 41-year-old Igor, lived. The man and the girl knew each other well, because Igor was a frequent guest at the Feofilaktov's apartment, being a regular participant in the feasts organized by Milena's parents about Ibis. Local residents called Igor a troublemaker. He did not have a regular job, repeatedly broke the law, served time for forcing a woman to intimacy, and often raised his hand on his common-law wife. During one of the visits to Feofilaktov, Igor, being in a drunken state, promised to give Milena his phone. The man soon forgot about it, but the schoolgirl did not. That spring evening, Milena thought it was time to remind Igor about the phone. So around 9 p.m. she appeared on the threshold of his apartment, informing him about the need to discuss something important. Igor let her in, but quickly regretted this decision, because Milena began to insistently ask him to give her the phone, intending to take extreme measures if he refused to fulfill his promise. The girl told Igor that if she did not get what she wanted, she would report him to the police, accusing him of indecent behavior. Milena didn't seem to realize the danger of her situation at all. Just imagine the situation. A teenage girl alone with a criminal. The man's wife was away, threatens him to the police. Igor, it must be assumed, in no way expected such insolence and answered Milena with a refusal. This only once stirred up the girl, resulting in a fight between them, which alas did not end well. When Igor realized what he had done, it was too late to call an ambulance. He didn't want to go to jail again, so he decided to cover up the crime. Igor had a capital garage with a large iron stove. It was in it that he destroyed the traces of his terrible atrocity. Believing that the police would not be able to prove his involvement in the crime, because if there was no body, there was no case. Milena was thoroughly searched for the next week. More than 300 people, sniffer dogs and quadricopters were involved in the search. Rescuers, police, volunteers inspected all abandoned buildings, sewer shafts, city sewers, etc. At the same time, Milena's friends were questioned in case the girl shared her escape plans with them. But no trace of the 13-year-old girl could not be found. Unexpectedly, 2 weeks after Milena's disappearance, the police reclassified the case to murder. It seems that it was then that law enforcers got on the trail of the suspect. But the general public learned about what really happened to the schoolgirl only a year later. While flyers about Milena's disappearance continued to appear on the streets of Murmanskaya and in the city's communities, investigators were hard at work, gathering evidence against the prime suspect Igor. First, the police had 2 recordings. The first showed a girl walking towards the house where Igor lived. On the second, a man pulls a heavy suitcase out of the entrance and loads it into the car. Secondly, the experts, having thoroughly examined Igor's apartment, found traces of Milena's DNA in the bathroom and in the suspect's car. The man explained it by the fact that one day he gave the girl a ride, after which the schoolgirl came to visit him for tea. Thirdly, specialists from the Kola Scientific Center of the Russian Academy of Sciences conducted a unique chemical examination of the ashes and cinders found in Igor's garage furnace, finding there a trace element composition characteristic of the human body. This evidence was enough to bring charges against Igor. Interestingly, at the trial, which began in late 2020, Igor was accused not only of killing Milena, but also of robbing the woman. It turned out that 2 months before this atrocity, he stole a bag from a 44-year-old resident of Murmansk when she was walking along Novoy Plateau Street. For both crimes, Igor was sentenced to 22 years in prison and a fine of 200,000 rubles. The man disagreed with the sentence and appealed, but expectedly lost. So today he is serving his sentence in prison. I don't feel sorry for her. It's karma. She got what she deserved. Said one of the friends of Lera Gramova, when asked how she felt about the news about the fate of Milena Feofilaktova.